The number has moved in a big way as well. Like all of the money is coming in on the Rams. Like yesterday it was at Rams -7. Now it's sitting at Rams -8.5. Like that's a big movement overnight. So sharp money, public money, all coming in on LA. I don't know if I want to lay 8.5, but this just does not look good for the Niners. They just don't have, I mean, they have a handful of guys, but they're so banged up. This is already a completely different team than the one that started the season.
Right. I had to look and see who was playing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my knowledge of teams is pretty deep. But you're saying to yourself, okay, so they're not going to have Brock Purdy. They're not going to have Jawan Jennings. They're not going to have Ricky Pearsall. George Kittle's on IR. You have Ayuk, who's not playing anytime soon either. So, like, who is going to be catching the ball? So I had to look at the depth chart. And it just feels like every single player has an O next to his name. So, like, here are the big names who are playing. Christian McCaffrey. Feels like that's the end of the list for big names. Kendrick Bourne will be playing receiver. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is on the Niners if you need reminding. Kyle Juszczyk maybe is going to make a difference at fullback. I don't know. But I will say this. When it comes to props, this does make the equation easier. Because when you have fewer big names, it feels like, hey, who do you think they're going to trust tonight? So for me, it does feel like it's going to be a big Christian McCaffrey game through the air, because this is the wild part, Jenks. Christian McCaffrey, normally you look to his rushing yards, but it hasn't been nearly as a successful year for Christian McCaffrey on the ground this year, where he's averaging just 3.3 yards per carry. Like, it feels crazy. And I understand, like, it's only October. And we've kind of seen this with Saquon Barkley as well, where he just hasn't been as efficient as last year, which, that's a really tall task for Saquon because he had a massive year last year. But what do we expect from Christian McCaffrey tonight? Like, is it just too many injuries to this team where you can just kind of key in on Christian McCaffrey? Or is it one of those things where Christian McCaffrey is just going to get so many opportunities where you look at him, whether it's fantasy or props?
It's a really good question. Here's the thing, is that if the Niners are going to have any success, they have to lean on CMC, right? We know that because everyone else is out. It's all.
The only person.
He's the only guy there. I mean, you're going to put the game on the shoulders of Mac Jones? Probably not. The problem is because you don't have any other playmakers on the field, if you're the Rams, and the Rams have a top 10 defense, by the way. Like, so do the Niners, but the Rams are really good defensively, particularly up front. So, okay, you're going to feed Christian McCaffrey? Well, the Rams are going to key on him. If you're the Rams, isn't the philosophy simple? Like, okay, beat us with someone outside of Christian McCaffrey. We're not going to let him beat us. We're just not. So we're going to key on him all game. We're going to spy him. We're going to make sure he doesn't break outside. We're going to make sure we cover him if he breaks out into the flat, if you try to toss it to him and get him in space. We're not going to let him beat us. Beat us with someone else. And who else is going to do that? I don't know. So, I mean, he's talented enough to get there because he is, one of the best when he's healthy. There's no question about that. But when you have, it's sort of like, maybe it's not an apt comparison, but it sort of reminds me of when Saquon was playing for the Giants, right? Where he didn't have any help. And it's like, all right, he could go off at any time because he's so talented, but also there's no one around him. So there's a possibility he won't do anything and he gets bottled up because he's all they have. And I know it's different with the Niners, but I think you see what I'm saying here, where when you don't have any offensive weapons, it's easy to key on the one weapon you do have.
Right. When your offense is one-dimensional, it becomes very predictable.
Right.
So back to, this matchup as well, the Rams have been so good at stopping the run, too. Like we were just talking about Saquon Barkley. The Rams, despite giving up 33 points to the Eagles, Saquon had 18 carries for 46 yards. That is 2.6 yards per carry. For the best running back in the league, that is a very, very low number when it comes to yards per carry. So it just doesn't feel like a great matchup for Christian McCaffrey on the ground. But he has had a very high floor when it comes to his receiving numbers. The number that it is tonight, if this is still accurate, is 45.5 receiving yards. Jenks, I feel like you got to play that. Like, just from an opportunity standpoint. Maybe it's not going to be the most efficient night, but, like, who else is Mac Jones going to throw it to? And plus, you look at this punishing Rams defensive line, short and dumpy passes, feels like it's always making the card for me on Thursday night because it's also a short week.
Do it, do it, do it.
I'm gonna. Yeah.
You should.
It's 45.5, and Christian McCaffrey has hit this in every single game.
Yeah.
And when you look at like somebody who also has a high floor, he's gone 92, 88, 52, and 73. So like, I don't know what I'm missing here. Maybe the fact that it's just going to be tough for San Francisco to stack first downs. Like, that's the only sabotage factor. Because I've played props for people before, and you're like, wow, they only got 3 chances on that drive because they can't get a first down. But let's talk about the side for a second, because I'm sure people are like, well, what's your side?
Oh, quick question.
When the number is this high.
The number is 45.5 for Christian McCaffrey, right?
That's what it says in the rundown.
No, I'm asking because do you think you're going to get 45?
Oh my gosh, Jenks. Don't you put that devil in the room with us. God. I had that thought though, Jenks, when we got a damn push in the Guardians Tigers. Are you kidding me? So like, I've got to do some sage or something in the house, because I have been like disastrous bad luck on some of these props. But like, the joke hit, unfortunately for me. Dagger through the heart. But 8.5. So we believe in the Rams here. I feel like we're pretty strong on the Rams. Mm-hmm. But are we strong enough on it to lay 8.5 points? Like, this feels like one that you just kind of like wave goodbye as the ship leaves the harbor. And you're like, 8.5. No, thank you, please.
Yeah, this is a lot of line movement, but I understand why. I don't want to play it at 8.5. I would have played it at 7 for sure, because obviously it's just a touchdown. But at 8.5, it's just too big of a number. Once you start getting into 8, 9, double digits in the NFL, we always talk about this, but that's when I start to get uncomfortable unless I really, really like a side. So here I would probably go Niners at this point. I'm not going to play this. I would rather play a prop. I would rather play a total. But ultimately, this is where once a line moves too much, then I think there's value on the other side. And look, it's hard to make a case for the Niners. I get that. But you're still talking about a divisional game. You're still talking about a very good head coach in Kyle Shanahan. And, to your point about Christian McCaffrey, this is where scheme and play calling comes in. And this is where Kyle Shanahan comes in. So if there's a handful of guys in the NFL that you would trust to maybe open up the offense a little bit or get creative, Kyle Shanahan is certainly one of those guys. So I would trust here in this spot the Niners and Shanahan to somehow keep it within 8.5. I don't feel super confident in it, but I'm not laying 8 and a hook.
Right. I think that's the case for the Niners, is simply because you have a very smart head coach. And it feels like we've seen this situation in reverse in a couple of previous years with Sean McVay, where you look at the team, you're like, everybody's hurt. Who's his quarterback now? Oh, they flew in Baker Mayfield for the week. And those are games in which they would cover and almost win. So I think it goes to show, if you have a great head coach, they do more with less. So it's going to be the ultimate test for Kyle Shanahan tonight. But again, he's a really good head coach, and we'll see if he can continue to do that, because 8.5 certainly is a lot of points in a short week in a divisional matchup.